Texas's Republican Governor Greg Abbott said something that sounded familiar today, suggesting that these mass killings of innocent Americans cannot be explained.
He shot and killed horrifically, incomprehensibly, 14 students and killed a teacher.
The idea that it is beyond comprehension or unimaginable ignores that we can imagine children being slaughtered by someone with a gun. We can comprehend it happening in the United States because we have seen it happen before. Political leaders can feign ignorance or surprise, but there's no need for the rest of us to play along because we know better. Colorado, in particular, knows better. The NRA convention is coming up in Texas later this week. I'm guessing they'll go ahead with it because the NRA held its convention in Denver in 1999, just 10 days after the Columbine school shooting a few miles away. That's why Governor Abbott's words sounded so familiar today about how it's incomprehensible that this could happen. The NRA said the same thing in Colorado 23 years ago.
When an isolated, terrible event occurs, our phones ring, demanding that the NRA explain the inexplicable.
The governor of Texas today and the head of the NRA then may seem befuddled about why America has such a high rate of mass shootings, but thankfully, we do not need to rely on them for an explanation because we have scientific research. Even today, grief and clarity can coexist. So I'll just say it. It's the guns. It's the widespread availability and unsafe storage of 42% of the world's guns. Coloradans have a wide range of views on gun policy, but we can't have an honest conversation about why kids keep dying until we move past two things. First, the instinct to say we can't believe it happened again. Of course it happened again. A 2015 University of Alabama study found that the U.S. has 4% of the world's population and 31% of the mass shooters. This is America. This is what happens here. And this is what will keep happening here until something changes. Next, we have to push past the distractions, the other explanations for why kids are being killed with guns. Mental health, video games, the stuff that sometimes is earnestly offered by people who just haven't read the research, but sometimes is thrown out as a stumbling block by people who don't want to talk about guns even as kids wearing backpacks are put in body bags. We can talk about mental illness, but not as a distraction to avoid talking about guns. Because research shows that American rates of mental illness are in line with other countries with far fewer shootings, and the vast majority of people with serious mental illnesses are never violent. Using video games as a distraction from talking about guns is even flimsier. Look at the countries with more gaming: Japan, South Korea, the Netherlands. They're not awash in mass shootings. Colorado may be in a unique position to have the honest conversation that is finally needed, because Colorado knows the pain of loss from mass shootings, because we also know the role that responsible gun ownership and use have in society, because we know that most of our gun deaths are suicides, because we know that background checks, red flag law, safe storage law, they have not led to abuse or widespread infringement on liberties in Colorado. But that conversation can only happen when we cut through the BS and the politicians pretending that they're confused and shocked by today's shooting and tackle why the U.S. is different in such a terrible way. It's the guns.